close. Very exciting moments ahead. Now, we can't say this enough, and I know you've said it so many times, but it's worth repeating for viewers that Dimorphos is not a threat to Earth, nor will it be after impact, right?
No, that's right. This asteroid system is still almost 7 million miles away from the Earth. It's at its closest point in the orbit right now to Earth, so from this point forward it's going to be moving away from Earth. So there's no chance of anything here. We've got to look for all the other unknown asteroids out there still.
Awesome.
To find what the hazard really is.
Thanks so much, Lindley. I'll catch you on the other side of impact.
Okay, if you can.
Back to you, Tahira.
All right, thanks, Samson. It is amazing to know that we have a precision lock on target Dimorphos. Now, we have a fun way for you to join our mission, and it is by signing up to be a planetary defender. Visit bity.com/planetary defender. Take the quiz and receive a certificate like this one. Now, once it's official, show us on social media using the hashtag Planetary Defender. Now, telescopes from around the world are observing tonight's impact to ensure that changing the asteroid's orbit. They'll be measuring this success. And you may be wondering, how does that happen? Let's go behind the scenes with astronomer Nick Moskovitz at Lowell Observatory, home to the telescope that discovered Pluto, to see what's in store for DART.
This is Lowell Observatory. Lowell is one of many observatories around the world that will be observing the DART impact, NASA's first ever planetary defense test mission, to see how much a spacecraft impact can deflect an asteroid in its orbit. This is where Pluto was discovered, and we are still doing research in all areas of astronomy today. So let's go check it out. This is the Pluto telescope, the telescope that was used to discover Pluto almost 100 years ago. So here we are at the Clark Telescope. This is where Percival Lowell sat to observe Mars. Let's head on over to the Lowell Discovery Telescope, about an hour south of Flagstaff, which is where we are going to be collecting data for the DART mission. And the reason we're all the way out here in the middle of this forest is that we have really dark skies here. And this is the Lowell Discovery Telescope. This is what a 4.3 meter telescope looks like. This is what we will be using to study Didymos and Dimorphos in the days and weeks after DART impact. The DART spacecraft will be hitting an asteroid called Dimorphos. It's special because it's a binary asteroid, which means a satellite around a larger asteroid called Didymos. And DART will actually be hitting Dimorphos. And what we will be measuring is how much DART changes the orbit of Dimorphos around Didymos. So this is an important test for planetary defense mitigation strategies in case we ever have to do this for real. The Lowell Discovery Telescope is one of many telescopes around the world which will be used to study Didymos and Dimorphos. It's really a global coordinated effort. And what we're looking at here is a large 4.3 meter primary mirror that's in the middle of the telescope tube here. Up at the top is a secondary mirror. The secondary mirror up top there is what is focusing the light down onto the instruments and allows us to take images with the camera that's located down at the bottom. This is maybe one of my favorite hidden rooms at the telescope. We're like standing inside the telescope, underneath the telescope, 100 tons above your head, held up by this and this, which is cool. It's sort of, as you can see, the highest peak around here, just over 8,000 feet. Come up here for sunset. You have sun setting right there. It's perfect. For DART, we're going to be collecting images of the night sky. And typically an observer would be here in front of one of these consoles controlling the instrument and taking images like these as they're coming in off the telescope. DART is really a sort of before and after experiment. We need to understand the system before the spacecraft intentionally impacts, and then we have to understand what the outcome of that impact event is. As we watch from the Earth, Dimorphos will pass in front of Didymos and behind Didymos. What we will be doing with those images is measuring the brightness of Didymos in those images and looking at how that brightness changes. And those dips in brightness allow us to measure when these eclipses happen and measure the orbit period of Dimorphos. And so you have essentially a fixed star field here. All the white dots are stars of different brightness, and moving through this field is Didymos and Dimorphos, which again, we can't distinguish them as discrete points of light, but we have that small object moving through the field of view. So after impact, we will then be able to go back and start observing intensely, looking for those mutual events, those eclipse events of Dimorphos passing in front of and behind Didymos. And on each one of these frames, we're measuring the brightness to assess whether or not it's undergoing one of these events where Dimorphos is passing in front of or behind, and using those to determine the orbit period of Dimorphos around Didymos. This is such a cool experiment. It's such a singular experiment. Using the ground-based telescopes like this one and others around the world to watch the systems and see how it's affected by this impact event, because that's really what's going to give us the answer to what did DART do at the time of impact. And that will be exciting to see how that evolves over the days and weeks following that impact.
All right. After a 10-month, 470 million mile journey, DART is just minutes away from making history. A truly global effort, this mission has brought together people from around the world, united under one goal: to find a way to protect humanity from a hazardous asteroid if one were ever discovered. Now, usually NASA spacecraft are intended to operate for many years or even decades, but not DART. DART was built to be destroyed. DART is a mission of firsts, proving that a spacecraft can autonomously seek, find, and approach a target in space that's so far away we don't even know what it looks like. It also marks the first time humanity will have moved a planetary body in the universe. I said that correctly. Now, at this point, the spacecraft is controlling itself, making small maneuvers to ensure it's lined up with its target. DART is speeding through space and will cover the last 4 miles of its journey in just 1 second. Coming up, we'll hear the final updates from mission operators and witness the big moment live from space. Samson, you have the best seat in the house. How are we looking?
You're right, Tahira. Front row tickets to the biggest event in town, and things are looking good. We are T-minus 10 minutes to impact, and DART is precision locked onto Dimorphos and zooming down the home stretch. Now, we have a lot to cover in the time we have left, and I'm thrilled to have with me Lori Glaze, Director of NASA's Planetary Science Division, with me for the ride. Lori, such a pleasure to have you.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited to be here and really happy that we are here in this final 10 minutes. We are almost there.
Well, you were just in the thick of it with the team up until a few minutes ago. What is the atmosphere like in there? I can only imagine.
It's really, it's great. I mean, they're excited. Every time there's a marker that we meet a milestone, everyone is cheering and very excited. But there's also almost a sense of a calm confidence that with every milestone, everything's going, as planned. We're found and we locked on the target as planned, pretty much at the right time. They're looking at the brightness and the reflectivity of the object, and it's more or less what they expected. Everything is performing as expected, and so there's a lot of cheering and happiness, but just kind of a sense, hey, we've been planning for this a long time, and we've got it.
We've got this. We've been planning for this. We can hear applause left and right throughout this evening, all good signs. What are they focused on at this critical juncture, Lori? It is basically years of planning, 10 months of making sure we get to this point after launch, and they've been juggling a lot. Is there anything in particular that they are glued on as we enter this moment of truth?
Yeah, so the main thing they've been watching is getting to that point where we could do the precision lock, where we had good enough signal coming back and enough confidence in where we are relative to Dimorphos that we could really do that precision lock onto the target. And it's hands off now, right? We're not, the spacecraft is going to drive itself, and really focused on that, that point where they could be precision locked. And they're also thinking about looking at and reassessing continuously what's the probability of miss, right? As you get closer and closer, that probability should get smaller and smaller, and it is. It looks really, really good right now.
Well, it sounds like the game of thinking, of wondering, really doesn't end until that last second comes to pass. So they can do a lot of great up until this point. We just have to see this through to these last few minutes. Well, and in a few minutes, speaking of that, all the years of thinking, of doing, planning, reacting is finally coming to an end. From 5 minutes to impact, there will be no more opportunity to send any commands to SMART Nav in the Mission Operations Center. The team will be purely spectators, the data coming in, and they are just waiting it out like the rest of us for the first time. Lori, this is huge both from an operational perspective and also an emotional one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you can imagine, I'm really excited about it, and I've been engaged with this mission for, the last 4.5 years that I've been in my current role. But this team has been working so hard on this for so many years, and they've put so much of their energy and their time into this, and so much planning and rehearsing, and it's a really big event for them to, like you say, just counting down and watching. At this point, there's not much else they can do but watch and see the fruits of all their work.
Yeah, I've gotten to know many members of this team over the past few months, and there's a lot of alpha individuals on there, right? You need a good mix of alpha people to make sure we get to this point. I can only imagine what they're feeling. Perhaps, like you said, a little bit of relief, a little bit of, can I let this go? I have worked for this moment so long, and now we can no longer do anything. That moment is just coming up.
Yeah, but I think they're ready. I think they're at that point. You're getting some shots of Elena Adams, the systems engineer, and you can see the excitement in her voice. She's so ready to show the success of this mission.
This is awesome. 5 minutes out, which we're coming up on now. The team will be hands-off 2.5 minutes from impact. SMART Nav, which has been guiding the spacecraft autonomously for 4 hours, will also step away, stop any maneuvers. DART will simply be coasting to its fate. This is blockbuster stuff, Lori.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We are there. Yeah.
I have front row tickets, and we are very soon about to open up these airwaves in the Mission Operations Center. We'll stay plugged in all the way through impact. Remember, at this point, 5 minutes out, no more commands to SMART Nav will be possible. The team is watching it just like you and me and the rest of us.
Cool.
All right, we've reached 5 minutes from impact. The final command opportunity to SMART Nav has passed, and the team is simply watching that data stream in just like we are. Also remember, there is a 38-second lag for the data to travel to Earth, and also an additional few more seconds for image processing. It's important to note that. You should be hearing the chatter in the Mission Operations Center momentarily.
This is DART MSC on DT-MOG. 5 minutes till impact. 5 minutes till impact. We are at 1,100 miles away. Also, our window for sending any commands to the spacecraft is done. Contingency's done.
This is a great vibe in that Mission Operations Center right now, Lori.
It really is. They are so excited. And I'm honing in, looking at these images as we get closer and closer, and you look at Didymos, and just you're starting to see this physical body appear there. It's incredible. Just incredible.
That sounds great.
I'm still having a hard time believing this is real energy coming in near real time.
Yeah. Yeah, but you've been watching it over the last, 30, 45 minutes go from just being a collection of individual pixels, and now you can actually see the shape and the shading and texture of Didymos, and we're going to see that same thing with Dimorphos as we get closer and closer. This is so cool.
Never before seen images of Dimorphos will come into stark relief.
Absolutely.
A few seconds before impact. Incredible.
Didymos. It's amazing. All right.
The team is standing just recognizing this moment, years in the making. It is really nice to see them relax a little bit, get off from those computers that they've been glued to, and just appreciate this moment that's coming.
Yeah, and they've earned this. It's just great to see them there. This is so cool.
Lori, we hit another major milestone. We are now 2.5 minutes from impact, and SMART Nav has stopped maneuvering the spacecraft. DART is now coasting toward Dimorphos, and we hope into the history books.
Absolutely. This will be, I'm sure you've heard it many times tonight, humanity's first ever to, what an exciting time. Yeah, and I'm starting to see Dimorphos start to come into view there. You can see it starting to take shape. I'm starting to see individual boulders on Didymos. Unbelievable images there.
We're coasting on in. Our projected miss distance is going to be about 17 meters.
All right.
All eyes on this event. Space telescopes, ground telescopes from every continent on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. 2 minutes out. Does not look like one single rock to me.
Oh, boy, we're getting close.
My goodness, look at that.
Looks like control system settling down. Angular rates look really good. I think we're going to get the investigation team some good pictures.
Wow.
No, come on, we can do better than that.
Starting to see those individual boulders there.
It's amazing, guys. Oh my goodness, look at that. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Looks to me like we're headed straight in. Oh my gosh. Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. 8,
Yeah.
7, 6,
wow.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh my gosh. Oh wow.
Awaiting visual confirmation.
All right. Let's see. We got it? Waiting.
And we have impact. A giant leap for humanity in the name of planetary defense.
Woo. Fantastic. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
What a moment. Very few words can really capture this moment. This is so full to watch. Amazing.
What a team.
Estou comemorando o sucesso da missão.
Accomplishment.
Team. A few weeks ago, they had their last dress rehearsal. They were getting emotional at the dress rehearsal, and they're like, this is a real thing. I can only imagine what they are feeling right now.
Yes. Well, you can see them there on screen. They're all pretty excited. Wow.
Hearing impact, the curtains close on DRACO feed. That raw joy from the team, years of hard work and the weight of expectation lifted off their shoulders. This is amazing.
Só se cumprimentando, felizes, deu certo o impacto.
This This is beautiful.
Agora da Terra eles vão
Boring, really.
observar para ver
This is
se
a huge
qual foi
moment
o
for the
efeito
mission.
real que teve,
Lots more
mas a
work
missão até esse ponto foi um
needs to
sucesso.
happen in the days, weeks, months.
Absolutely.
Legal.
Now, you know, as I
Que legal.
always say, it's one of my favorite missions. Now is when the science starts. It just starts now. Now that we've impacted, now we're going to see for real how effective we were. We're going to train all of those ground-based telescopes on the
impressionante ver
Didymos Dimorphos system, and we're going to
superfície
make measurements that will help us
Dimorphos.
determine just what its orbit looks like now relative to what it was before. So
se
it's going to be
aproximando
great. Very
lentamente,
cool.
muito legal.